Cat Viper debuted on One Piece Treasure Cruise Global on the 20th of September 2017. This was the second half of the Zo batch, which introduced the beloved Minx into the game. This Sugo-Fest was impactful on One Piece Treasure Cruise Global as it introduced arguably the most powerful Sugo-Fest exclusive character to this date, and also rate boosted other top tier striker characters. However, controversially, it was discovered that the Sugo-Fest exclusive characters that everyone desired were not boosted equally, which stirred much discourse in the community. Eventually, rates in the game were publicized to avoid further scrutiny, despite the fact it is still being a problem to this day. The characters introduced in this batch included Rhizo of the Mist, Wano Kingdom Samurai Evening Shower Kanjuro, the first rendition of Carrot in One Piece Treasure Cruise, as well as Treetop Pedro. And the Sugo-Fest exclusive character of the batch was arguably the most powerful legend to release to this date, sporting a powerful constant attack multiplier with an easy condition to fulfill to achieve it, as well as providing a special that works perfectly in tandem with his captain effect, providing matching slots to his class to become one of the true kings of One Piece Treasure Cruise. Introducing King of the Night, Cat Viper. In this series, we'll be traveling back in time to experience some of the older Sugo-Fest exclusive characters in their prime, aiming to show just what it was like to use these characters on their debut. I hope you enjoy the video, and without further ado, let's enter the Legends of OPTC. So thank you very much for checking out another episode of the Legends of OPTC. Now, I do know that the previous two episodes have not been releasing on time, been relatively busy, but hopefully we can get things back on track with a weekly release, same time each week. So let's go ahead and get started with today. We're covering one of the fan favorite Sugo-Fest exclusive characters to ever come out, which is Cat Viper. Interesting to think that, Cat Viper was one of the best, if not the best legend on his release. He was incredibly powerful, especially just on release itself, but then as time progressed a little bit later on, when V2 Boa got released a brand new batch of characters that helped Cat Viper a lot and made him even better than what he already was. But let's talk about the other characters that released alongside him, going on more with the Zo batch. So let's start things off with Rhizo. Rhizo is a strength shooter free spirit character, obviously not a striker like Neko, but either way. Captain ability was a 2.5 attack boost to shooters, and then 10 recovery and matching for shooters as well. Was not used at all. Pretty bad captain. But the special ability was very good, reducing paralysis and special bind by 3 turns. He completely resists it, by the way, which is very good, and then allows you to switch the slots around 3 times. No one really cared about that, but the fact that he had such a really powerful utility special was actually used not too much when he first came out, but as time progressed, he saw more and more play. Very, very useful character, and of course, later on, got that very powerful support. So, Rhizo, a relatively decent rare recruit character, that's for damn sure. Moving on next, we have Kanjuro, who was another very powerful character on release, and if you pulled Neko, you definitely wanted this guy as well. This guy, Dex, Striker, Free Spirit. Captain ability was a Striker and Free Spirit 2.5 Captain, and then his special ability on a 12-turn cooldown reduced Bind and Despair by 5 turns, and if you have a Striker Captain, he locks the chain multiplier at 2.75 times for 1 turn. At this point in time, a 2.75 times chain lock was one of the best. I think it probably was the best chain lock at this point in time. It was pretty incredible. So not only providing that, which increased your damage output by a pretty significant margin, but also allowed you to get Bind and Despair removal with his special. Just an all-round amazing rare recruit character. This guy was really, really good, and of course, later on, got another very good support effect. So next we have the first Carrot in One Piece Treasure Cruise. So Carrot is a quick fighter free spirit, pretty bad captain ability, just providing a small attack boost and a recovery boost, but then the special ability was actually not bad. A 2 times attack boost to quick is nothing to scoff at back in 2017. However, the thing is that there is a free-to-play option for this. You could literally just use Raid NL instead, so you didn't really need this rare recruit. Obviously it doesn't have the downside of reducing your crew's HP, but you know, Carrot was an okay rare recruit. And now we also have Treetop Pedro, who was an int slasher cerebral, and this character I definitely feel should have released with the previous batch with Dogstorm. This character was really good for Dogstorm, as his captain ability would be -2 cooldown at the start of the quest, and then a 2.5 times attack boost to int. Actually not an awful captain back in 2017. And then a 13 turn cooldown would be reducing your crew's HP to 1, then deal 7 times the amount of HP subtracted in typeless damage to all enemies, and then give you a 1.75 times orb boost to all characters. This works very well with Dogstorm because it's a health reducer, it does a bit of damage which is okay, and is an orb booster because that batch previously didn't have an orb booster that came out for the cerebral class. So like this, Wanda, Sicilian, and Dogstorm was a pretty decent build for a cerebral based team. So, you know, that wasn't too bad at all, but very weird that he actually released with Dogstorm, well, with Cat Viper, should I say. I guess it does kind of make a little bit of sense, but at the same time, very odd decision. And now we have the man himself, Cat Viper, King of the Night. So let's get into why this was probably the best legend on release. So this character, Psy Striker Powerhouse, and his captain ability was very strong. It would boost the HP of strikers by 1.25, and then boost the attack of striker characters by 3.75 if they have a Strength, Quick, Dex, Int, Psy, or a Rainbow slot. So I love the fact that Rainbow slot was included here because obviously we had the release of Shirahoshi, very close to this, who was a striker character and would have a special that could give you Rainbow slots. So essentially, as long as you have a colored slot on your character, they're going to be receiving a 3.75 times attack boost via the captain. So this does mean you do not want to see tandem, you do not want to see recovery slots because they give you 0 boost. So you need to be careful about that, but luckily there was a ship that had released prior to this, which was the Kuzan bike, which you got for completing the training forest, and that was a striker based ship, and it actually reduced the amount of recovery slots that you would encounter during your quest. And I think it also gave like a 1.5 health boost as well. So that was definitely the most optimal ship to be using with this guy to reduce the amount of recovery slots appearing, and matching slot sockets were also pretty useful because it just increased the chances of landing on type slots. So yeah, this was a very good captain because at this point there weren't many characters that could give you a multiplier as high as this consistently. I mean, we had characters like Akainu V1, who was nearly a 4 times captain if you had a strength slot specifically, and then you had time skip Luffy, which would reach the 4 times boost if you used his special for those 3 turns. However, this guy is like always giving you a huge boost, and the chance of you getting that boost is very high considering all you need is a type slot or a rainbow slot. So it's very easy to achieve this. This was a very incredible captain effect. And then the special ability, which would do 60 times his attack and side damage to a single enemy, and then he makes all colored slots beneficial to striker characters for 1 turn. So perfect synergy between the captain and the special. Obviously the special is not a boosting effect, there's no color affinity, attack boost, or boost, so you still have to provide that on your team, but this guy can enable you to get matching slots a lot easier. However, if the enemy did provide a slot shuffle to you, like if the enemy gives you block slots or gives you bomb or recovery or tandem, that is a bit tricky to deal with. You do need characters to shuffle them around, but if you're able to get type slots on your team, you can just make them beneficial with his special, and it's so good. And going down to an 11 turn cooldown was also very strong. So this was a really powerful unit that just enabled strikers to be the best team on the release of this character. Such a powerful unit. So let's go ahead and see what kind of content we're going to be playing today. We have 3 different sets of Coliseum. We have Ideo, Kiros, and Rhizo, all of which are relatively difficult Coliseums in the realm of 2017. So I think this is going to be a really good way to show off Neko Mamashi and how powerful this unit was as we go up against relatively difficult Coliseum events. So let's go ahead and spin that wheel. I don't really know which one personally I want to get. I don't really mind. I'm just really excited to use this character for the first time in such a long time. And we're going to get... Wow, that was very close. So Coliseum Kiros is the guy we're going to be taking on today. Very exciting. So let's go ahead and jump in and see what we can build. 1, 2, 3. Oh my god! 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was not expecting reds. Really was not expecting reds. Alright, Yellow Jinbei, he's not the best. Daruma, he's actually a really good unit, but it's not buggy. Alright. What's it gonna be? Yes! Let's go! Let's go! Holy yes! New legend! Oh my god! Holy Yes! Alright, let's go, boys! Let's go! Alright, Neko Mamushi Cat Viper. Let's go! Alright, now... In-game now with my man Cat Viper, Guardian of the Whale Forest and the King of the Night. He used to serve alongside Dogstorm, King of the Day, but now the claws come out whenever they meet. When the time came to call a truce for the sake of their former lord, however, they gladly joined forces. So here we are with Cat Viper. Pretty awesome artwork, honestly. And here he is with 100 attack and 100 HP cotton candy. We got max sockets, we got max special. We are good to go. Now, this is the team that we are bringing today against the Coliseum Kiros. We have Fukaboshi, and we've got Aokiji as our main attack boosters. One for one turn, one for another turn. We've also got Kanjuro, who's going to be really cool because he'll give us that chain locking effect, which is so significant, giving us 2.75 times chain. We also have Mark Weiss, who's going to be a really nice addition to this, because on the final stage of Kiros, we have to deal with a chain lock, which is pretty annoying to deal with, and the fact is we can use Mark Weiss to remove it, and he also grants color affinity to our striker characters. So he's like a perfect unit for this fight versus Kiros. And then as for our ship, this is the one that we briefly talked about just before, as we get 1.5 attack and health to our strikers, and we drastically cut the chances of landing a recovery slot, which is perfect because we don't want recovery slots, we only want type slots to ensure that we get the 3.75 times attack boost from Neko Mamushi's captain effect. So that is the quick rundown of the team. Pretty bare bones basic stuff, but the content itself is anything but. So let's go ahead and jump into the content now against Coliseum Kiros. And here we are about to take on Coliseum Kiros, and unfortunately we did have to go ahead and use our guest captain this time around, but I don't think it's going to be that bad considering, you know, Cat Viper's cooldown isn't really that high naturally anyway, so I don't think it's that bad. Plus, you know, Mark Weiss actually has a 15 turn max cooldown, whereas like Neko, he naturally starts at like 16, so I don't think it's going to be that bad. Let's go ahead and jump into the content now. Final round versus Kiros. In game now, here we go. Let's get the party started. So obviously, first things first, we need to get to... Wow. That makes things very, very easy. Oh my, that is exceptional. I think we actually had Heracles maybe show up once before in a Coliseum in this series. That is pretty awesome. We don't have to do any stalling, so this actually is going to be a very quick video, I feel, or so long as we actually get through the content. That's obviously very important. So normally this would definitely be one of the best stall stages, but I don't even think we need to do that anymore. We do want to make sure that before we leave this stage, like, we have good matching slots. So what I will do is I will kill just the regular mobs. We'll leave the turtle there and hopefully don't get too many bad slots. Okay, we got a tandem slot there, so we actually, if we point on Aokiji there, you see his attack, he goes from 1735 and he doesn't really get any boost at all. Obviously, he gets a little bit from the ship, whereas comparatively, other characters will be getting their attack boosts. But unfortunately for Aokiji, having that tandem slot or recovery slot in that matter is very detrimental to our damage here. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. We'll get the turtle very close to being killed. But we just want to make sure before we move on, we don't have any of those nasty slots. It looks like we're going to be relatively okay, so we're going to go ahead and pass here. And we'll move on to stage 3. Now, stage 3 can have a couple of different variations. This time around, we have Hack. Okay, so what does this guy actually do? I didn't really take much notice of Hack. He actually gives us an orb boost for 7 turns. You know what? We'll actually take that. We don't have our own orb booster, and we don't really need it. Honestly, this is perfect for us. He's on a 2-turn cooldown, so I think we can just attack here. Attack with our Dex characters, of course. And I will just go through and just naturally attack him. With a 3.75 times attack boost, this guy just, he hits really hard comparatively to almost anything that came out around this same period of time. It's just ridiculous here. So we're going to get some target lock here, so we have to target the other mob characters first before we can attack Violet. And another thing is we have this stupid effect where quick slots are going to be enhanced, so we get like heaps of quick slots, which is actually good for Neko, because these quick slots, we can be treating them as beneficial, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. So we're going to use the Cat Viper special, Royal Dawn Spear. See little Catman running around. There we go. Boom. A little bit of damage there, and almost 200,000 damage there. That is super effective damage, so it definitely helps out. But treating those slots as beneficial for one turn for our striker characters is perfect. And at this point, we can activate either Aokiji or the Fukaboshi special. I mean, we'll use Fukaboshi here, which is going to give us a 1.75 times attack boost to both striker and powerhouse characters. So that's perfect here. We have a very minor orb boost still from Hack. We have our attack boost. This looks very, very good here. Alright, let's go ahead and do our attacks. We'll finish with Aokiji last because he is an int character. We'll get advantage there versus Violet. Alright, let's get this party started. Let's get it. Boom, look at that damage there. 4 million damage on a mini boss burst. Yeah, this is where things start to ramp up in One Piece Treasure Cruise. And here we have Kiros, the final boss. Okay, so Kiros, as we mentioned a little earlier, he's going to give us that really nasty chain lock. It's 3 turns of a really bad chain lock. He also recovery binds us, so if you did use a captain that was centered around recovery, that's obviously a pretty big detriment. But at this point here, we're just going to launch everything and get the dub. So first of all, we definitely want to launch Mark Vice first, which is going to get rid of that chain lock. We need to make sure we do that first before activating Kanjuro special, otherwise that's going to be very, very bad. So now that that is done, we can use Kanjuro special, which normally removes 5 turns of bind and despair. We don't have to deal with that, luckily enough, but it is going to give us that 2.75 times chain lock. We can use the special ability of Aokiji, which will provide us with a 1.75 times attack boost to our striker characters, as well as locking our slots, which really doesn't make that much of a difference. And then we can use the Cat Viper special once again, which can guarantee us some matching slots once again, making those slots beneficial for our crew. So with all of this active, I believe this is going to be enough to get the dub. We've got to make sure we hit our perfects and everything. Hopefully it's enough. Let's get it. Let's get it. Of course it was enough. 8.1 million damage. Now, I feel like the very minor orb boost that Hack gave us probably helped out a lot there, so that's awesome. If we didn't have the orb boost, we could have potentially stalled a turn. I don't know if he does anything on turn 1. I actually don't think he does anything on turn 1, but I mean, with all of that active there, that was just absolutely perfect. Wow, we absolutely dominated that, and it definitely helped having Heracles come out first, so we didn't have to stall at all. A very, very clear win there. So with all that being said, that is going to wrap up today's One Piece Treasure Cruise video. This was an absolute blast to use one of the powerful characters throughout the year of 2017 and definitely early 2018 as well. This guy was an absolute monstrosity. However, we're going from this to next week's episode, which is vastly different, as we are going to be covering Legend Usopp. So I'm personally not really too sure how we're going to be covering Legend Usopp in this series yet, but yeah, we're going to be using Legend Usopp next week, so stay tuned for that one. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video today though, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.